Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Good Coach, Bad Coach, secrets the great coaches know that the others never ever figure out. I've always tried to wonder, as a former championship coach, why there's so many bad coaches in the world. It's real simple. You can't give away what you don't possess. So, about a year ago, 6 months ago, I decided to put together my own show to help coaches, managers, leaders become great coaches. And here's the philosophy. I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter. At some point, she's going to play some kind of sport or be involved in something. And here's what I know. I don't want her to have a bad coach, because they are scripting and molding and shaping their mindsets, their philosophies, and there's nothing worse than having a bad manager, a bad coach, a bad leader. So we put this show together that you can watch every Sunday night on the Burt Network, CoachBurt.com and the BurtNetwork.com, so you can watch Good Coach, Bad Coach, because if you knew the secrets of the great coaches, why in the world would you ever want to be a bad coach? There's so many bad coaches out there because they get stuck in old habits. They don't grow their mindset. They don't go to learn. They don't come into other arenas and pull these over. So tonight I want to talk to you about a very specific topic that I specifically enjoyed as a coach. It's how do you mature a young and inexperienced team? You see, a lot of people say when they have a young team, man, we're rebuilding. But then you see other people that just keep on winning over and over and over. So I'm going to introduce a term to you tonight called advanced maturity. And advanced maturity is where you get freshmen and sophomores to think and respond like juniors and seniors. You speed up the maturation process. You speed up how much they mature physically, mentally, emotionally, in all parts of their nature. Because when you have advanced maturity, you are never reloading. You are never rebuilding. You are constantly pumping people into that greatness factory I talk about. And because of your systems and your structures and your methodologies, it don't matter, baby. They're acting like older people. For all the managers that are out there listening to this show, this is real simple. You got an unexperienced or inexperienced salesperson on your team that's brand new, that's never been out there in the field, and you want to get them to grow up fast. Now, some people are saying, well, this is going to happen naturally, and it will. Eventually, a young person will start to think older as they get older. But sometimes you don't have time for this. You don't have time to wait for that freshman to grow up to be a junior and senior, because you got to win right now. So how do we build advanced maturity into our teams? How do we ensure that we speed up the maturation process? Well, this is real simple. You create artificial adversity. And so when I was a coach, we created all different types of artificial adversity, so we could test people mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. We put people through a series of exercises where they had to figure things out. Now let's look at something that is directly affected to advanced maturity. It's called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the number one indicator for success in today's world. Emotional intelligence is this: the ability to bounce back from adversity when you've been knocked down. The ability to be self-intrinsically motivated versus motivated by an external factor. The ability to have awareness of self and your own limitations and your strengths. And the ability to have compassion for others. So in essence, the question is, if we want advanced maturity, how do we speed up how fast we grow someone's emotional intelligence? So if I were going to grow your emotional intelligence, here's what I would do. I would put you through all kinds of hell. I would put you through all kinds of environments that test you physically, mentally, emotionally. I would give you tests to make you think mentally faster. I would put you in scenarios where you have to figure out your way out to sharpen your critical thinking skills. In essence, I would give you double the amount of time and attention. Now, I want to use the example of a very, very under-talented team. I won't say one of the bad teams, but I had a team my very last year of coaching that was possibly the least talented team of any of the teams I coached. We had just come off a 38-3 season, second most wins in the history of Tennessee. In most people's eyes, we were rebuilding. We only returned one player that had any type of significant playing time or experience. Most people expected us to fall flat on our face, but not us. Not at the Greatness Factory, because we had expectation. We had put people through advanced maturity concepts. We had tested people psychologically and emotionally to get them ready for this experience. Now, so here's what we did. We doubled the amount of practice time we had. Instead of practicing 3 hours a day, we practiced 6 hours a day. And I called the first hour John Wooden practice. All we did was dribble and run and condition and pass and shoot. Basic, rudimentary, fundamental things that those players were not very talented in, okay? So when you think about this concept, this is real simple, guys. If you've got an inexperienced, underdeveloped team, they cannot go out and get the same amount of practice your studs had. He's some of my great teams, we practice an hour and a half. Take it to the house because they were that good. We didn't need all that practice. We need to stay fresh mentally and emotionally. So when it comes to advanced maturity, after the break, I'm going to come back and I'm going to share with you some specific strategies that you can do to speed up the maturation of a young team. This is in business and this is in sports. Sometimes we don't have a chance to go out and get our butt kicked by other people. We got to be ready now. Although we're not ready here, we got to get ready. So we're going to tackle this concept of advanced maturity. You're watching Good Coach, Bad Coach. I am the Super Coach, Micheal Burt. Follow me at Micheal Burt. You can listen to all my podcasts on iTunes. Search Good Coach, Bad Coach with Coach Micheal Burt, or the Super Coach Show on iTunes, and get all of our great programming at theburtnetwork.com. Come on back in segment 2, and we're going to show you as a coach specific things to do to build this advanced maturity. Hey guys, Coach Micheal Burt here. I believe everybody needs a coach in life, and that's why I'm inviting you to join me in the Big Apple, baby. The monster city on the planet, New York City, April 17th and 18th. Spend 2 days in an immersion type experience with me at my Monster Producer Summit. I'm going to teach you the 7 frameworks of a monster producer. I'm going to teach you how to take monster action, a monster explanation of services, monster selling system, how to get monster attention, how to keep your monster swag, and ultimately how to build a monster enterprise. For $499, join me at the Sheraton, New York City, Times Square for 2 days, 8 hours. Spend some personal time with Coach if you're serious about being a legendary creature this year that dominates every field by combining multiple skill sets. Go to CoachBurt.com or email us at info@CoachBurt.com to sign up at $499, 2 days with me. This will be a monster experience. Welcome back to Good Coach, Bad Coach. I'm the Super Coach, Micheal Burt. And if you're looking for some material or resources out there, number one, pick up a copy of my book, Changing Lives Through Coaching. I do think a good coach can change your life. And if you become a good coach, you'll have people run through the wall for you. Also, the book I wrote with Rick Insell, The Anatomy of Winning. Basically, how do you engineer people to win and build your own greatness factory? Get those at CoachBurt.com. Right now, we're offering a sale. It'll probably be over by the time you watch this show. But we're giving a lot of things away at the store. Go to CoachBurt.com if you're serious about being a good coach. Now, premise of the show. There are good coaches. There are bad coaches. I created this concept because I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I tried to figure out why were there 30 million people to buy the freaking book. What I figured out is real simple, guys. It's what the rich teach their kids that the poor and middle class never do. And if you knew what the rich people did, why in the world would you ever practice habits of poor people? See, he compared and contrast. Well, as soon as I read that book, I said, you know what, I got to put together a show and eventually write a book called Good Coach, Bad Coach, Secrets Great Coaches Know That the Others Never Figure Out. Every Sunday night, 6 p.m. on theburtnetwork.com. Today we're talking advanced maturity. And when I share this concept with people, they're like, dang, that's a good concept. The concept is this. We've all had inexperienced teams in our lives as coaches. We look at our rosters. We graduate people. We've got a young team. I think about my buddy Matt Insel at Ole Miss, who I've worked with. and how they've taken a young team and become very competitive very fast. Well, this is one of the first people I shared this concept with. Is I said, man, you gotta get your freshmen and sophomores thinking they're juniors and seniors. You got to get their cognitive processes, their emotional processes, their physical processes. And the only way to do this is to put them through a variety of scenarios. So let me give you some examples. I know we've got coaches of all backgrounds listening and watching this show. One of the very first things I did at Riverdale was to hire one of the best strength and conditioning coaches in the country. And what I did is I said, although many people are not lifting girls, I told him, here's my strategy. I want my players to be bigger, faster, stronger, and more emotionally tough than anybody we play. So put them through your own boot camp. And when I say boot camp, I mean test them every which way you can. Push them through things they never thought they could do. Make it competitive where there's teams. Add tremendous amounts of peer pressure where they all have to rely on each other. And I basically turned that program over to him. Now, I had other strength and conditioning coaches who were not near as good as he was. And I noticed a big difference with the toughness of my teams when I had those other coaches. And so here's the deal. I had one guy that was in charge of physical toughness. His job was to make those players tough enough to be ready to play for me, because I was going to push those players mentally. I was going to push them to every edge that they had. Now, you've heard me talk about the mental toughness. We had leadership academies, life after basketball, success academies, 7 habits of highly effective people, principles of good to great, 5 dysfunctions of teams. Now, you know why most people don't do this? Because they don't know the damn 7 habits themselves. The coach can't teach the 7 habits. They don't know 7 habits. They can't teach good to great. They don't know good to great. So here's the problem. The problem is the coach. If you don't make yourself better as a coach, then how in the world can you give it away to your players? So I see so many coaches blame their players. We need more chemistry. And I never forget a football coach telling me this. Now, I got no discrimination toward any coach, but a football coach said this. Well, we don't have enough leadership on this team. We don't have enough chemistry on this team. We don't have enough guts on this team. And I said, all due respect, who's in charge of teaching your players those things? Is it not you? No, they ought to know how to do. They don't know how to do leadership. They don't know how to be mentally tough. They don't know how to be emotionally tough. So it's your job as the coach, the leader, the Jedi master, the monster producer, for you to get down and teach your players what they need to know, because they don't know. If you subscribe to this concept, the better the coach, the better the team. So if you're out there today watching this show and you've got a young team, quit using excuses like, well, we're rebuilding. Well, we're reloading. Well, we're in a growth period. Forget that. That's a bunch of crap that you've told yourself to make yourself feel better when you go out to the market and people say, Coach, how's your team? Oh, we're rebuilding. We're just trying to grow ourselves up. We're not quite there yet. You know why? Great coaches don't care. Do you think Gino Ariami cares if he's got a bunch of freshmen on his team? You think that John Calipari at Kentucky says we can't win a national championship because we got a bunch of freshmen on the team? No, man. They don't make excuses. They may use that coach lingo and coach talk and coach speak to make themselves look good, but here's the reality. Behind closed doors, here's what they're saying. Let's get these freaking people up to speed. We ain't got time to go out and lose every night, because if we do, I'm going to get fired. I don't care if they're freshmen, sophomore, juniors, or seniors. The term is advanced maturity. Now, I'm a basketball coach, so we're coming down the home stretch here for all of the teams about to compete in the tournament. And if you build the greatness factory I've been talking about, then you're going to pump these people in and you're going to pump these people out as success stories. In the off season, this is when you build it, because here's the principles to remember. There comes a time when winter asks what you've done all spring and summer. There comes a time when winter in the season asks what you've been doing all spring and summer. You don't win championships in the season. You win championships in the off season. So what is your advanced maturity program this off season? What type of physical moves will you make to get your players bigger, faster, stronger, quicker? What type of training mechanisms are you going to do that nobody else is willing to do? What type of mental toughness programs are you going to put your players through so they're ready and battle tested when they get to the finish line so they can win big games? And here's a question I'm going to ask directly to you. For all of you coaches that schedule easy so you can win 20 games and make yourself look good and feel good about yourself, but you get beat in the tournament, ask yourself this question. What are you willing to do to grow your maturity in this offseason? What plane will you get on to go learn from some guru? What business will you study on how people do it the right way? What coach will you get in the offseason to challenge you to be a better coach next year? Or will you come back next year and say, hey, we're rebuilding, we're reloading, we don't have it quite together. Here's the deal. You ain't got time to grow up now. The time for you to grow up is now. Good coaches never blame young players for losing. They go out and take young players, and they win. I'm Coach Micheal Burt. You've been watching Good Coach, Bad Coach. Listen to us on podcast at iTunes or Podcast Republic on Android. Watch us every Sunday night live on the BurtNetwork.com, CoachBurt.com. You've been watching Good Coach, Bad Coach. And if you're serious about your business, pick up a copy of The Anatomy of Winning. I didn't write this till after I'd won a championship, and Insel had won 10 championships. Gives you the blueprint on how you engineer people to win. This is Coach Micheal Burt, the Super Coach. Go out there and be a good coach this week.